A major expansion for Epic Universe, early opening dates and previews, a fourth and possibly fifth new park at Universal, and brand new ride patents have been filed. Universal is absolutely coming for Disney, and they better watch out. Hello everybody, welcome. Today we are going to be talking about so many crazy announcements by Universal, and this is why I've been saying it all along that Epic Universe is not the end game for Universal, it is just the beginning. So let's start out by talking about Epic Universe and its opening date. It has been on the calendar that it is slated to open in summer of 2025. However, they removed all of the messaging around summer of 2025. We've talked about that in previous videos. All their marketing materials and everything have removed summer 2025, and they switched it to just 2025, which has led to all sorts of speculation about, are they delayed? Is it going to be opening later? And we've been sort of pushing and predicting that we think it means it's going to open earlier. And I am happy to report that we are now hearing that it is possible that Epic Universe could be opening as early as May or April of 2025, with the possibility that previews for Epic Universe are going to be starting sometime in January or February or March. So shout out to all of the awesome team members and insider sources, you know who you are, that have been giving this information to us. It has been super helpful. Also, some of our YouTube fans who are actually commenting on our videos and giving us great information from their sources. A couple of shout outs to Mr. Jersey 84 and Steve Page 4504. Thanks so much for that information. But again, we just keep getting lots of things coming our way. People who are letting us know. I've been talking to a lot of team members. People who know information, and it looks like we might actually be getting in there way earlier than we hoped. I am hoping that that timeline holds. Construction delays, permits, things just not working could hold all of that up. If anybody's been watching the Chronicles of the Tiana's Bayou at Magic Kingdom, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They started that ride and it has been down more than it's been up. We've actually already got our first hotel room booked for opening day of the hotel in January of 2025. I am stoked for that. We've already got it booked. I cannot wait to be there and check it out. It's going to be awesome. So if you're planning an Epic Universe trip or you're thinking about coming out, you might want to start planning for a little bit earlier than you were thinking. Now let's talk a little bit about this huge expansion of Epic Universe and Universal properties that just came out. Throw up a map here in just a second to kind of show you the difference in what we're talking about for how big and how expanded Epic Universe is now getting. So a little bit of background information. Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, with all of their properties, Universal, Islands of Adventure, Volcano Bay, also their 8 hotels, all the space that they currently have on property is about 735 acres in total. This is 2 parks, 8 hotels, which includes Cabana Bay, Aventura, Endless Summer Dockside and Surfside, Portofino Bay, Hard Rock Hotel, Royal Pacifica, and Sapphire Falls. You've also got the City Walk expansion, you've got with restaurants and shops, and then you've got one water park, Volcano Bay, which by the way also happens to be the best water park in Orlando. And if you've been following any of our other videos on Epic Universe, you will know that the new area for Epic Universe, and this is specifically talking about the areas that they've marked for development. They actually have more, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. The areas that they've marked for development are around 700 to 750 acres. Now this 750 acres is going to include a few things. One is obviously the big park, Epic Universe. And Epic Universe is broken into 5 big lands, if you will. It's got the first main entry hub there called Celestial Park, which includes Stardust Racers, previously known as Starfall Racers. Thank you, weird lawsuit. We don't really understand what that was about, kind of weird. But they renamed it to Stardust Racers. Constellation Carousel is included in that as well. Then you've got Super Nintendo World, which is Donkey Kong's Minecart Coaster, which is that awesome roller coaster that everybody's talking about with the cool new ride vehicle system. We've got Mario Kart, the dark ride there, and a Yoshi's Family Ride. Then you've got Dark Universe, which includes the Monsters Unchained Frankenstein Experiment dark ride, Curse of the Werewolf, which is a spinning coaster similar to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind over there at Epcot, we believe. And then also will be a show to be announced. Then you've got the Wizarding World Fantastic Beasts expansion, the third area for Wizarding World at Universal. That includes Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry Dark Ride, possible VR experience. And then we've got a theater show called Le Cirque Arcanus, at least that's what we're predicting. Then, of course, you've got How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. That was actually formally announced, and all the information about that particular one. We've got a link to a video below. You're going to want to check that out because it's got all the details on that particular land. You've got Dragon Racers Rally, the coaster there, Fire Drill, which is a water shooter type ride. You've also got Hiccup's Wing Gliders, the Untrainable Dragon Show, Viking Training Camp for kids, and of course the Mead Hall. And then in addition to all of that at Epic Universe, you've got restaurants and shops, lots of restaurants and shops. But in addition to Epic Universe, it also includes the hotels. So right now we've got potentially 6 hotel spaces reserved in that 750-ish acres that we're accounting for. 3 formally announced hotels. One is the Helios Grand Hotel, which is right there in Epic Universe, right at the top of the Epic Universe area. Then we've got the Stella Nova and the Terra Luna Hotel sort of at the bottom there, which are going to be probably similar to, based on what we've seen, the Endless Summer Hotels. And then, of course, you've also got the huge back-of-the-house operations area, which we've explained in other videos. You're going to want to watch them, why that is probably the most important thing that Epic Universe is adding, because it is going to allow them to actually build new attractions at Universal and Islands of Adventure without actually having to demolish attractions, which is where they're at right now because they're out of space. So check out those videos, lots more information about that. So if you combine those two areas, Universal Studios as it lives today, and then in addition to the new Epic Universe area, we're at about 1,435 to 1,485 acres total. But now on to the breaking news about the addition of another 1,300 acres. That's basically doubling the footprint that we already have with Universal as it is today, plus new Epic Universe. You take those two together, and we're now doubling that as far as the space that they have. Now, they've already owned this land. This is not new additional land that they've purchased. They've already owned it. So there's a new diagram that's actually been formally filed, the Shingle Creek diagram, that actually shows all the additional areas that they're now rezoning and for development. They're actually zoning it for development, which means they're getting ready to start making some progress and doing some things with that space. So when you add those two together, that gives us a new total of 2,735 acres as opposed to the 735 they're at right now. That is a massive, massive footprint. So we're going to talk a little bit about what they're going to use that space for in just a minute. But first I want to kind of compare that to Disney. Of course, you've got to compare that. The two theme park giants in Orlando, Disney and Universal. So let's compare it. So when you look at Disney World on the surface, it's a lot bigger. They have a lot of acreage. They actually have 27,520 acres, as opposed to the 2,735 acres that Universal has. So that's about 10 times the square footage, 10 times the acreage, 10 times bigger than Universal's footprint. So you may be saying, wow, that's a huge difference, but let me just break that down because I want to get a little bit more specific and you'll see why it's not as big as you think. When you really break down Disney's property, you have to look at the individual components of it. So first of all, let's start with Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom is 107 acres. Then you've got Epcot, which is 305 acres, one of the bigger ones with the World Showcase, 305 acres total. Hollywood Studios at 135 acres. Then you've got Animal Kingdom, which is about 250 acres. Technically, it's 580 acres, but most of that is sort of animal space, animal paddock, safari type stuff that really isn't actually part of the main sort of property of Animal Kingdom where you'll be walking around and where the entertainment buildings and things are. So technically it's 580, which is huge, but a lot of that is sort of the animal space in the background. It's really only about 250 acres when it comes to the actual park itself. Typhoon Lagoon at 56 acres, you've got Blizzard Beach at 66 acres, then you've got Disney Springs, which is a nice 120 acres, which gives us a total, when you look at all of those parks together, at 1,039 acres total. So where's the rest of this space? The rest of the space is in hotels and in a lot of the greenage space. Some of that is developable land, some of that is not developable land, and then roads, all sorts of things like that. That's basically accounts for the rest. So they have a lot of room for expansion, and they have a lot of land reserved for hotels, but the actual entertainment, the things that you actually get, is a lot smaller than you think. So most of that land is actually created and owned to develop what they call the bubble, the Walt Disney World bubble. I'm sure you've heard of this before. It's basically this concept of once you're in Disney World, everything just feels Disney-ish. It's very, manicured and beautiful, and you just feel like you're in this other world, this bubble, if you will, in this nice little self-contained bubble away from the outside world and all the stresses of life. And it makes you feel like you're in that space. And once you're in that space, you don't really want to leave. So they have a lot of buses and transportation and stuff that keeps you in that bubble. And that's one of the things that people love about Walt Disney World, versus if you've ever been to Disneyland, Disneyland is this little thing, and then all outside of Disneyland is a bunch of roads and, IHOPs and buses, and it just looks like normal, LA areas, and you're like, it doesn't really feel like I'm in a bubble. So people don't love that. So that was really what Walt Disney set out to do in that space, which makes a ton of sense. However, the bubble appeal, the bubble effect, is kind of losing its appeal among a lot of Disney or vacationers to this area. And I'll tell you why for a few reasons. Because they keep removing a lot of the perks that you got from being in the bubble, for paying extra money to stay in the bubble. So they're actually removing perks, and it's starting to lose its luster. Let's just go through a real quick list of a few things that they've taken away. Number one, they have less buses now. Less buses, less drivers, which means more waiting for buses. So it used to be, 15 minutes or less, you were on a bus, you were going to a park. Now, it seems like sometimes you're waiting 30, even 45, sometimes an hour for a bus to come, because they've removed some of the buses, and they've also removed some bus transportation routes and replaced them with other things like the Skyliner. Plus, they've started adding pay services like the minivans, if you've ever seen those before, or hoping people will just pay for Ubers or Lyfts or things like that. And so they've taken away some of the convenience of the buses in favor of paid options, which, again, you're paying more money to stay in that bubble. They've also taken away things like the Disney Magic Express, which was a really simple, easy, awesome service to get you in and out of the bubble from the airports. Package delivery to your room. If you bought something at Disney Springs or one of the parks and you didn't feel like lugging it around, they just send it right to your room. It's gone. They don't do that anymore. Daily housekeeping is gone. You can request it, or you get like a little, voucher or whatever, but it's pretty much gone. Airline check-in was awesome. Some of the hotels, actually a lot of the hotels, they had a cool airline check-in place where you could just go down into the lobby, do a quick check-in for your flight home, and you were out. They tagged your bags. It was really simple, easy, gone. Extra magic hours. They're pretty much all but gone. If you stay in the super exorbitant, deluxe hotels, they'll give you some extra magic hours. For everybody else who stays at, the value or the moderate resorts, you're really not getting much, maybe a half an hour in the mornings. You're not getting that awesome experience you used to get, which was the park would close at 9 or 10, and then it would stay open until 1 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of the extra magic hours, which was one of my favorite things about staying in the bubble, gone. Free magic bands. You booked a Disney vacation, stayed in the bubble, you got free magic bands, they shipped them to your house, you were good to go. Those are gone. Now you gotta pay $50 a person for a magic band. And then one of the most annoying things is the Fast Pass system, the free Fast Pass system. Gone. Now you gotta pay for it. It's gone. If you stayed at a hotel in the bubble of Disney, you got dibs. You actually got to book your stuff earlier, you got better Fast Pass experiences, you got more from it, and it was just awesome. Gone. So again, as I said, the draw for being in the bubble kind of losing its luster. So all that land, unless they're using it, it's just kind of just land. So I'm not sure how beneficial it is anymore. The other thing is that bubble effect isn't really something people expect from Universal. I think a lot of people going to Universal or even coming into Orlando area, especially newer people who aren't experienced, aren't used to the bubble, they're not really looking for the bubble. So a lot of people who are going to be visiting Epic Universe, visiting Universal, they don't need some expansive bubble. They're not really probably ever going to create a giant bubble like Walt Disney World, and I don't think they need to. I don't think that fans who are going to be coming to these parks, I don't think they miss it. I don't think they care about the bubble effect. In fact, because Universal has so little space to work with, they're actually coming up with amazing ways to create compact ecosystems of hotels and theme parks that actually is kind of better than the bubble in a couple of ways. One, you can almost walk to everything. Two, shorter bus trips or transportation between things. If you want to get from Cabana Bay to Universal Studios, it's like a 5-minute or less jaunt over there. Not only that, you can walk between City Walk, Islands of Adventure, and Universal Studios. It's all right there. You can walk between them. You can't walk from Magic Kingdom to Epcot. You can't walk from Disney Springs to Animal Kingdom. You can't do it. You got to take transportation. Epic Universe, same thing. It's all going to be compact. You can walk from Terra Luna, Stella Nova, Helios Grand, right into Epic Universe. And you can actually probably, I'll talk about the more stuff that's coming, you're going to be able to walk to other stuff as well. The only bus you got to hop on is if you got to hop over to the Universal side, but it's kind of like you're going from mini bubble to mini bubble, and then once you're in those bubbles, everything is right there. There's no jump in between transportation systems to get you there. You're there. So pound for pound, I gotta say, Universal, you may not have as much acreage, but you got a lot. And when it comes to best bang for the buck, pound for pound, I think Universal's holding its own. So all this stuff they're adding is Universal has been saying it for a while. This is all in service of trying to create a week-long or more experience at Universal. Right now, Universal, people feel like it's kind of a weekend experience. 3-4 days, Universal, Islands of Adventure, City Walk, spend a little bit of time at the pool, maybe at one of the hotels. It's kind of a good, that's it, and then they're on. Then they're moving on. This new stuff that they're continuing to add is in service of getting to that week-long vacation sort of spot, and they're on their way. And I think once Epic Universe opens, they're there. And when they start opening the other stuff we're going to talk about, you're talking about even longer than a week. All right, so I'm going to throw up the next map because I want to start talking about all the things that we've been speculating that we think are going to be coming to this new space. And we'll talk a little bit first about the things that we have been saying are coming as part of Epic Universe and the space we were already holding aside. We were already looking at 750-ish acres originally and what's included in that. So you've got Epic Universe there, you've got all the lands, you can kind of see that, Celestial Park, all the little, the sort of spokes of the other lands. You got the Helios Grand, Stella Nova, and Terra Luna hotels. You've got a couple of other hotel paddocks sort of sprinkled across there over to the bottom and the left. But then over sort of to the right of Epic Universe, a little bit down to the bottom, you see that sort of pale green color, which is what we've been holding aside sort of for what we're calling City Walk 2.0. We really do believe there is going to be another City Walk, a shopping district, and I don't believe it is Celestial Park. A lot of people have been saying that they think Celestial Park is going to be the new City Walk. I do not agree with that. I don't think that they're going to create a shopping district that requires park entry to get into, or even making it difficult or as easy as you could possibly do to get in and out of that space just to do shopping. I don't think they're going to do it. Yes, there's lots of shopping and food there, but that is not City Walk 2.0. I think there's going to be a second City Walk that is going to be built, and I think they're actually going to be doing something very similar to Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios, where you're going to have Epic Universe and you're going to have a City Walk 2.0 right there in the middle. And then over to the right there, I've been holding aside for a fourth theme park, a second Epic Universe, if you will, or whatever they're going to call it. I don't know, Amazing Universe. There will be something else. And then you can also see that parking area, which right now is supposed to be surface lot parking, that they will eventually expand into a parking garage, similar to what they did for Universal and Islands of Adventure. That was surface lot parking. Eventually, as they started to get some revenue from those parks, they actually built the parking structure there and the parking garage, and then created a nice path into City Walk that way through the walk. So the sort of moving walkways or standways, as lots of people like to use them for. But basically, they're going to be doing something similar. At least that's my prediction, and based on what I'm seeing and hearing, I feel like that's going to be the case. But if you look hard, you'll also see some spaces in between the paddocks, the different lands. So for example, right there between Dark Universe and Super Nintendo World, there's a gap. There's nothing there. There's a couple of those in Epic Universe, which they're holding aside and reserving for one of two things. One, to expand an area. So for example, they may say, we want Super Nintendo World to be bigger. They have room to expand it. Or they may say, we want to add a new IP of some kind, a new land, and build a portal into that and have a new space there. They can also do that. So they've got some options even within Epic Universe to expand. So that's all the space that we knew about prior to this recent announcement. Now I'm actually going to zoom us out. I want to zoom out a little bit so we can see all the new space that they're going to be adding. All right, so now that we're zoomed out, let's add the additional space, the additional 1,300 that gets us to the 2,000 acres over there in the Epic Universe space. So everything that's in red that I just added to the map, that is all the new stuff that we did not have accounted for in any of the previous things that we've looked at. And you can see that is a lot of space. Some of it looks kind of like small, narrow, but you'd be surprised what you can do with that space. If you look at Disneyland and you look at their actual downtown Disney area, it's sort of similar. It's like a thin strip of land with lots of shops all along it. You could be water there, different stuff like that. They can do a lot with even those small strips of land, but this is a lot of new red space. And so let's just get a little bit of a comparison of size of how big some of these areas are, because the map, it's kind of hard to tell how big they are. So up in the top right hand corner, you see a brand new big chunk of land right there, that big red spot. If I actually overlay Magic Kingdom, all of Magic Kingdom, the whole thing, if I overlay it in that space right there, you can see it fits perfectly with plenty of room around it for parking, for expansion, for other stuff, depending on how they want to design it. Just that one block in the upper right-hand corner has enough space for an entirely new theme park or water park or something else. But there's tons of space right there. That's how big that spot is. So now that you're getting a sense of how big these red areas are, let's talk about the new stuff. Let's talk about what we think is actually going to be going in these spaces. So number one, all the red stuff in the middle, all the empty spots we were just talking about, all that red I just filled in there, that's expansion stuff for Epic Universe. Definitely going to be used for that. So we don't have to talk about that too much, but that's a big portion of those acreage is right there in the middle. That's just going to continue to expand Epic Universe. Officially, it's been zoned for development. We're going to see some movement there at some point. Now, if you look at where I had the fourth potential park in that sort of bright green color originally, you can see that it's now expanded further out. There's a red space sort of to the right of it. So we've got that bright green, and we have some more red to the right of it. So now there's more space there potentially for the fourth park and or City Walk. So you can kind of see like how City Walk and the fourth park now start to flow together. You can very easily see how there could be Epic Universe, then City Walk sort of in the middle there, stretching over, and then more space for a giant area for a fourth park. Now down there along the bottom right side of the map, if you kind of continue to go down to the right side, you'll see a bunch of red space there, pretty good sizable amount of red space. And this could be used, I think, for a bunch of hotels, some really cool hotels, or even potentially a water park location. Because it is sort of like a little bit further out, definitely is enough space for a water park over there. I think that can be a really cool option. And it's important to know that there's a lot of this red space I think is going to be used for hotels, because we do have a lot of hotels at at Universal and Epic combined, but we're going to need more, because I think the demand for this for Universal is just going to go through the roof, and we're going to need more and more and more hotels and parking. Some of the other areas of red that are sort of not accounted for just yet, I do think those are going to be some spaces where they could potentially add additional back of the house operations, maybe on that far right side down there towards the bottom, or on the right. There's some spacing there definitely for more back of the house operations, things like wardrobe and all the things that you're going to need that will give even more space to both Universal and Islands of Adventure, but also Epic Universe, so they can keep the spaces centralized, reserved for things like expanding the park and not having to worry about so many of the things that would be back of the house operations. Now, I want to go back up to that top right-hand corner we were talking about where Magic Kingdom was kind of sitting in there. You can see the scale there. And I really think this space up here, it's interesting. I think it could go a couple of ways. That could easily be also the location for the fourth park. Where I currently have a fourth park / City Walk, they may not use that. Maybe they'll use that for another hotel and some City Walk expansion. I don't know. But in the upper right, you could definitely have enough space for an entire, a different park up there. You could even do a hotel plus a park in that space because it's huge. So that could be really potentially where the fourth park is. Or this could also be the location for another water park. Volcano Bay, again, I have to say it, best water park in Orlando by far. I mean, it blows Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach away, Aquatica, I mean, it blows them all away. It's fantastic. And so they really could be thinking about another water park because Volcano Bay is crowded all the time. I mean, it is packed. That one slide Krakatoa where you're kind of on the ride vehicle or the toboggan or whatever, for lack of a better word, the sled. That one that gets up to like 2-3 hour wait times sometimes. Now they do have the Tapu Tapu, which is nice because you can sort of tapu, and then come back later for your wait time. You don't have to stand in line for 2 hours. So that is nice. So I think there could be a water park, but they have space in other areas for a water park. Doesn't need to be there. And so I'm also wondering, this might be space for a fifth park. They could potentially, they have space for a fourth park and City Walk and another water park and more hotels and a fifth park in that spot. Absolutely space for that fifth park. So I don't know. We could be getting some news at some point soon with some speculation and some ideas. Disney's, doing their D23 Expo, some big announcements and stuff they're going to be doing. So I have a feeling that Universal's got a few things in their pocket that they're waiting to release. So I think we're going to get some more information very soon about Epic Universe, some of the expansions. I think at some point, maybe in the next few months, maybe in the next year, we could actually hear some news about a fifth park. Okay, so you may be saying, okay, yeah, they added 1,300 acres for development. Does that really mean that they're working on new parks or new things like that? Couldn't it just be roads? Back of the house operations, maybe a hotel or two. Sure, it could be. Definitely. That's not off the table. But I'll tell you why I don't think that's the case. And it goes back to something I said in the introduction to this video, which is just yesterday, Universal filed a patent for a brand new ride vehicle system. I'm going to throw up the diagram of this new ride vehicle system. It's sort of this ride vehicle, almost like a roller coaster that maybe has this reticulating kind of arm on top of it that independently moves from the ride vehicle and potentially even allows you to control the movement itself, moving you from a standing to a sitting position, tilting left and right, moving around on a roller coaster, giving you that level of control over your experience. It's called the Universal Dynamic Seat Patent. So I have to tell you, this is not a ride or a vehicle or a system that is currently in plan for Epic Universe or Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure. There's been nothing about that, nothing anywhere about this new thing. I gotta tell you, it's too late at this point to file a patent for that. I mean, they're finishing Epic Universe. It's gonna be done soon. This patent is for something brand new that they haven't even started, something that they haven't done yet. Could it be an expansion for Epic Universe, one of the new lands? Could it be possibly a new ride that they're thinking for Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure? They've got a little bit of space left if they demolish some of the buildings like Sinbad or the Poseidon's building. They could demolish those and build something new. Or it could be something they're planning for their fourth park and announcing that at some point. So they are already thinking beyond Epic Universe at this point. They're not just resting on their laurels and filing patents for things that they're building now. They're filing it for things they haven't built yet, that they haven't even started to build beyond Epic Universe. So if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will, because to me, I can't even, I'm so pumped for Epic Universe that I can't even think about what's after Epic Universe at this point. That's so far from my mind that if they're already starting to think these things and do these things, I'm just mind blown. Universal is just killing it. they're absolutely killing it. If you haven't seen the sensational Symphony water show / drone show that they just released, it was spectacular. You go watch that video. I took a whole video of it. I'll link to it below. Watch it. It was unbelievable. And by the way, they can only do so much at Universal Studios when it comes to fireworks because of all the legal issues that they have. They have to abide by certain tenets in that location because of the proximity of being so close to Orlando and the houses around there. So they have limits. They're only allowed to do so much so late at night, which is why you don't ever see huge fireworks shows. You see like little flares and stuff, but you don't see huge fireworks shows at Universal or Islands of Adventure because they're not allowed. You also don't see things go until midnight usually at Universal because they're not allowed to have so much noise that late at night. Epic Universe, guess what? Doesn't have any of those restrictions. None of that area does. So if they can do that sensational with the water and the lasers and the drones and the little miniature fireworks, all of that, can you imagine what they're going to be able to do over at Epic Universe with all those restrictions lifted? Universal just keeps getting win after win after win. I love you, Disney, but honestly, Disney, you just keep falling down. Like you're falling down. You're knocking yourself down over and over again. Universal's not even having to knock you down. You're doing it to yourself. Like you're just falling down. I still love you, and you're doing a lot of great things, but there's a lot of misses lately. This park, what they're doing over in this space, going to completely transform the landscape. International Drive is going to be effective. Universal Boulevard is going to probably going to become a new International Drive. Sand Lake Road, which is already crazy over there by I-4 as you go further down, I think it's going to transform that area as well. You're going to see almost another International Drive right there. It's going to get more food, more restaurants, more shops, more traffic too, but Universal's on top of that, building that Kirkman Road extension. With the multiple lanes there, building that to allow you to get in and out of Epic Universe over to Universal really quickly. So that's going to help with the traffic situation. Also have the Brightline station coming into the convention center area there. So that's going to relieve some traffic of people being able to come to the airport straight to the convention center there without having to create too much additional traffic. So they're really thinking about everything that they can think of, and I just can't say enough good things. This is the most exciting thing that has happened in this area for a long time. So that's everything that we've got, all the new updates, everything that's going on there. I don't know, what do you think? Let me know. Are you as excited as I am about Epic Universe and all the things Universal's doing? Do you agree that they just are stepping up their game phenomenally? And Disney keeps announcing stuff. They've been announcing stuff year after year after year at the D23 Expo, and then none of it happens. They had ambitious plans for Epcot with the World Celebration area and the Communicore building and everything like that. And I'm not saying that what they did was bad, but is what they did what they said they were going to do? No, it's not. They had to change. They cut budgets. They pulled back on a lot of the things that they were planning on doing. And so people are starting to lose a little bit of faith in Disney that any of the things that they're announcing that they're going to do, that they actually do it or even do it well. And so Universal just keeps getting win after win. They announce they're going to do something, they do it, and they knock it out of the park. So Universal, you're on a tear. Keep it going. Can't wait for Halloween Horror Nights coming up. That looks awesome. I can't wait. Check out those videos too. I keep doing the speculation videos and all the information about the houses. Those are great videos too. So hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know, what do you think? Epic Universe, am I on the money, or am I off? Am I in La La Land? Am I losing my mind? I don't think I am. I think it's going to be amazing. So hit me with the comments below. Let me know what you think. Give me some information. I'll shout you out in our videos. Love to hear from you. Until then, like, subscribe, share, hit the notifications so you know when the next video drops. Until I see you next time, the noble way is the easy way. Bye-bye, everybody.